Check out this spicy little technique right here. Ah. Now a chord progression. This is called double strumming, a fantastic technique that helps to accent or highlight certain rhythms or chord transitions. And what I think makes this so exciting and spicy is that idea of like we're expecting to hear the strumming pattern just keep going, but then all of a sudden we hear like double the amount of notes in a short span, and it has that excitement to it. So this is helping us emulate like a snare drum doing quick 16ths or 30-second notes, or even like from the Latin percussion world, like a conga or bongos or something like that, to give us that feeling. And so this is part of a larger like series on strumming patterns or strumming techniques. And in the last video, I taught how to do this really nice mute strum. It gives us this big old fat snare drum emulation, as well as how to add scratches also. So lots of techniques. If you're interested, check out the links in the description. But let's get into how to actually double strum. So to learn this thing, we got to start at the most foundational level, which is the counting of a double strum, and then how to move our hand to that count. It's actually really simple when we break it down super slow. So I'm just going to count like a regular eighth note rhythmic pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then to create a double strum, what I call a single double strum, is we're just going to take that very last and, that last eighth note, and split it into two, doubling it into 16th notes. That's where it gets the name double strum. And we're just going to count it instead of and as and It'll sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. So you can hear that with the counting, that's how the double strum is created. And I also find that the double strum really shines most as you start to get faster, because you already start going pretty quick, and then all of a sudden it's doubly fast. That's really exciting to hear. So here's how I would, invite you to learn along with me, is to start by doing a double strum, where, as I call it, where I take two of the eighth notes and split those. So now that we have 4 16ths, let's take the beat 4 and the beat and after the 4, split those. We'll count it 4 E and a. You can try this along with me. Just mute your strings. So here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, that's it. That's the double strum. If I went to a single double strum where just that last and is split, it would sound like this. Let's do this. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. Okay, now something I notice with students is that it can kind of feel weird to stutter your hand. You're used to moving it in one way, and then it's almost like you have to pause it, shorten it up. And that's something that will become more natural. It feels unnatural at first, but as you do it, get a lot of repetitions, it starts to feel just completely natural. I don't even think about it anymore. So it's definitely possible to get there. Now, the last thing I need to address about actually moving our hand is what happens when we get really fast. We're going 1 and 2 and 3, and we're really moving quick. Well, something does have to change in our hand a little bit. Normally, kind of a principle of strumming is the faster you go with the strumming, the less ground you can kind of cover. So when we're going slow, we can play all 6 strings, but when we do a really fast double strum, we can't cover all 6 strings. Otherwise, it'll sound too loud, or the pick will kind of flop out of our fingers. And so the faster you go, the less strings. And so I normally don't play more than my low E, A, and D strings when I'm doing the really fast double strum. Sometimes only E and A, and sometimes only the E string if I need to go really fast. So as you start to speed this up on your own and you're playing through it and counting, just be really aware of how far your hand is moving, how much distance it's covering, and on those shorter double strums, make it really tight and smooth, and only let the very, last millimeter of your pick touch those strings, because you don't want your pick falling too far below the level of the strings and getting caught behind them. So those are some things that you can watch out for. So now you're ready to incorporate some real chord shapes using the double strum technique. So let's do A minor and E minor. We'll use those two basic chords, nice and simple. And we're gonna do a single double strum. So that very last eighth note, we're gonna split into 16ths and then just one bar of A minor, one bar of E minor. It will sound like this. Okay, and so something I did there that you probably didn't notice is I did something I call a cheat strum. A cheat strum is where I take that very last 16th where my hand is going up and I just release my chording hand and hit open strings. Check it out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm just hitting open strings. The reason I do this, because I'm going so quick, I need to already transition to that E minor chord. And I need some time. I need to buy myself some time. So that's why it's called a cheat strum, is because you're taking advantage of the way our brain hears things. It still hears it as a smooth transition, but we're actually lifting our hands off. And so people aren't realizing what's actually happening, but it still sounds great. So you can do that for any chord transition we do in this video, or any strumming pattern for that matter, and it's gonna sound smooth doing that little cheat strum. So let's start out slow and I'll build up and get faster and faster. So here we go. 1 bar of A minor, 1 bar of E minor. Ready, and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Faster. 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. One more. And on A minor. And there it is. There is the single double strum applied to a chord change and incorporating that little cheat strum to help us out. Now, let's add an F and a G chord to this as well. So let's get the chord shapes. This first chord is really an F major 7 because we're going to let our high E be open. I use my thumb to play the first fret. If there's other ways you use to play F, you can use those too, but I want to let you know how I do mine. So thumb is on that first fret and then open high E, G chord like this using my third and pinky fingers. My third finger is muting that A. And so now I'm just going to do those single double strums, but have 4 chords: A minor, E minor, F, G. Here we go. We're going to start slow and then speed up. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. A little faster. A little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. A little quicker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. One more speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, guys, if you hung with that, excellent. If not, as always, take your time. It is absolutely okay to start out really slow and sit with it for a while, work on it, because it does feel, I remember it felt a little unnatural to do this, and it took me a while for it to really feel like it was just nothing, just a normal part of my strumming life. And so if that's you, that is okay. Y'all, you've made it to the final level. Welcome. It's a little more nuanced. Hammer-ons, new chords, mute strums. This nice chord here, F minor 6. Double strum at the end to finish. Y'all, you've made it. This is some deeper water, so if you're brave, come out with me. Let's go. So the first thing you probably noticed right off the bat is the hammer-ons. Okay, so those hammer-ons on the first 3 chords, A minor, E minor, F major 7. Here's what we do. We're still doing eighth notes. My first 8th note strum is just open strings still. And then the second 8th note, the and, 1 and, is a hammer-on. Notice my hand moves, but it just silently moves up. It doesn't touch the strings, so that the hammer-on can create the note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. Same on the E minor, 1 and. It's the same thing. Open strings on 1, hammering on and with the hand moving up silently. And then we keep going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and. And then the F major 7, this is a big one here because we're hammering our thumb too. So this could take some getting used to. Really cool once you get it down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and up. And those are, that's it for the hammer-on. So let me do that slow, and then I can speed it up just so you can really get some context for this. So it goes ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'll just go back to A minor. Here we go. A little quicker, right? One more speed. All right, well, that's the hammer-ons. Now let's talk about adding a mute strum. So the mute strum is a technique I taught in the last video. It gives us this nice chunky snare sound. And just as a refresher, all I'm doing is putting the side of my palm on the strings as I rake my pick across. It's a timing thing. If you get that palm down just quick enough before the pick moves across, in the middle of your strumming pattern, you get a snare sound. It's so cool. So now I'm just going to insert this on beat number 3 of each bar. So let's put it together. 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. A little quicker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. A little quicker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. All right, guys, there you have it. So now we've got one more thing to add, and well, 2 things, 2 chords. We're going to add this chord and this nice chord right there. So this first shape is like a G sharp diminished type chord here. It's really nice. Middle finger's on the 4th fret of low E, and it touches the A to mute it. Open D, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of that G, 1st finger, 3rd fret of B, and then that open high E makes for this nice airiness to it. Really love it. This is a great transition chord, getting you from one chord to another. And it's really simple. We're just going to add it to the last 4/8 notes of a bar. So we'll do the regular G chord first, 1 and 2 and, or down, up, and then we'll switch 3 and 4 and we'll do a little double strum at the end of it. So just get used to that transition, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1, and then we'll come right back to that A minor. So just inserting it there right before we start the progression again. So I just keep playing the progression. And then when I get to F major 7, I land on it. I just hold it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then I go to this really nice, complex chord, and then I end on a double strum, ta-ta-ta-ta. And then resolve on our 1 chord C. Okay, so let's talk about how I do that. So once I get to that F major 7, as we've been playing, I just let it hold for, I think, a half note, 1 and 2 and then I pick up with just all downs, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a little double strum to transition us to this next chord. It's like an F minor 6 chord. We've got F minor, and then we're making sure that 6th note of the F scale is there. And this is kind of a difficult shape to play. If you've never done this, it's going to be okay if you're not getting it just right off the bat. Don't beat yourself up about it, because this is a chord I kind of discovered as I was trying to create a minor 4 chord when I was in C structure. And this is what I came up with, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like this heavenly sounding chord to me. And so my thumb's, playing that 1st fret still, 3rd finger still on the 3rd fret of A, but I have to let that D string be open. And so I'm really choking the neck all the way. I'm really gripping the neck. My 1st finger's barring the G, B, and high E. And so a lot of difficult techniques, a thumb having to, push this 3rd finger up over the open D, and then a bar. So it's a no joke chord. But once we get there, we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a, 4 E and a. So we're gonna do that double strum, 4 E and a. And this is really what is a guitar scratch, meaning that I'm creating just muted notes as I switch from this F minor 6 chord to my, really what is a C over G chord shape, because I'm making sure G's in my bass note on this. So this is just a standard kind of C over G shape, and this ends the song. So those are the techniques. Well, now I'm gonna do a playthrough, slow and then medium, and then if you wanna play to the full tempo, you can go back to the beginning and play along with me, but let's do a slow, then medium tempo version of this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... And now the medium tempo. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... Well, y'all, that was so fun. It is so good to be able to add spice and add kick into your rhythms. And so I'm looking forward to you having even more groove in your strumming. And so in the next lesson, I'm going to continue on with these things by helping you level up your strumming pattern game, where you're doing some really fresh new rhythms that are challenging you, that are complex, that are going to help you develop that internal sense of rhythm where you play naturally. And so guys, if you found this helpful, I would be honored to have your subscription to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you at the next lesson.